Welcome to the offseason. Well, I guess we're about 2 days in now, but you get the deal. We're doing a perfect offseason on today's show, breaking down some Warriors offseason moves that could put them back in contention. After losing the second round of the NBA playoffs, they could just add a couple more pieces around the edges here, and I think they could be a serious title contender in 2026. Before we get into all of it, though, if you want the Warriors to crush this offseason and make some moves that get them back to one of the top teams in this league, hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video, and we can get right into it. All right, let's set the stage a little bit because before we make these moves, we've got to make sure the Warriors are able to make these moves. And going over their finances here, honestly, compared to their counterparts, especially those teams who were competing with them in the second round of the playoffs, they're in a pretty opportune spot this offseason. Only $171 million committed to 2025-26, and that is over the salary cap, but it is below the luxury tax threshold. They're about $16 million below that at this point, about $25 million below the first apron, and over $35 million below the second apron. So they're in a pretty solid spot with some flexibility financially to where they can make some solid moves this offseason. Because of that, they have a plethora of pending free agents, including the big story and the big domino to fall this offseason in Jonathan Kuminga, and he is a restricted free agent. So what that means is Golden State is able to match any offer that he would sign from another team to bring him back. Gary Payton II and Kevon Looney are unrestricted free agents. Meanwhile, Quinn Post, Guy Santos, just those two are both team options. Pat Spencer is going to be a restricted free agent, as well as Taron Armstrong, who we never really saw in the Warriors rotation. He's spending his time in Santa Cruz. And then Kevin Knox and Braxton Key's contracts have expired as well, as they were just for the end of the season. Now, where does that leave the Warriors? Well, it leaves them with a couple of exceptions that they can maneuver around. And this is how teams are able to be over the salary cap and still sign a bunch of talent around the league. The Warriors are not over the luxury tax, so they will get the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is $14.1 million. They will also receive the biannual exception, which is a $5 million salary that they can give out. Teams don't get that. The teams get that every 2 seasons. They have 2 trade exceptions from Kyle Anderson and I believe one more. I forget who that one is. But an $8 million trade exception, nearly $9 million. That's going to be the one that Golden State could pick up an impact player with. They also have a second-round exception where you could sign your second-round pick, and the veteran minimum for those low-level contracts. Maybe Golden State could find a diamond in the rough. But before we get into the perfect offseason, the moves that I think need to be made for Golden State, do you believe in the Warriors front office? Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, even Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler might have some input as well. Do you believe in the brain trust that is running Golden State right now? Why for yes and for no? Okay, the rumor is that Steph Curry is pissed. He's not happy that Golden State could not win a game without him in the second round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So what does that mean? Steph is going to be pushing them to improve this roster heavily. And the reports are that probably won't be a swing for a big-time superstar, i.e. Kevin Durant, i.e. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those type of names might not be in the cards for Golden State because they are very happy with what they saw after the Jimmy Butler trade and the pairing, the 1-2 punch that he and Steph have shown Golden State fans so far. And that also kind of means that Draymond won't be involved in any offseason trades. I don't see Steph being in a position where he'd be okay with getting rid of Draymond. And all that kind of means that Giannis is probably off the table. And there are rumors and reports going out right now that Golden State is not looking to pursue Giannis Antetokounmpo this season. So he will not be a part of our perfect offseason this time around. You would probably have to include one of Jimmy or Draymond to get that done. And even then, I'm not so sure that Golden State would be at the top of the bidding war for the Greek Freak. So let's get into it. Perfect offseason. Number 1, like I said, he's the top domino to fall. Sign and trade Jonathan Kuminga. You cannot let this guy walk for nothing. Listen, I said you should have traded him before the season if you weren't going to give him that contract extension. Whatever, they wrote it out, and they're probably going to pay the price because of it. Not going to be able to get an impact player, or at least a guy who maybe they would have gotten to the caliber before the season started. The issue with Jonathan Kuminga is there is a crossroads with this organization. It doesn't seem like everybody's on the same page about Jonathan Kuminga. What we know is that Joe Lacob is in love with Jonathan Kuminga. He was a part of the reason the Golden State drafted him, and he's a part of the reason the Golden State has not traded him to this point. Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr, on the other hand, well, the jury's kind of out on them. We know Steve Kerr isn't super keen on Kuminga's on-court fit with Butler and Draymond, and especially with Steph Curry. Dunleavy is a little bit on the fence. He's he's being very coy in his exit interview today, talking about it would be great for Jonathan Kuminga to be a part of Golden State's long-term plans. He said the same thing about Jordan Poole. So I'm not all too worried about Kuminga's what Dunleavy is saying to the media at this point. Lacob, though, that's another hiccup to climb. However, the big picture of this quote that we showed you in yesterday's video is this bottom paragraph. Both sides are expected to explore sign and trade scenarios. And then if you look back to the top paragraph, Joe Lacob is not likely to let Kuminga walk away for nothing. He doesn't anticipate a world, and this is from Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, he doesn't anticipate a world where Lacob lets Kuminga walk and Golden State sees nothing back in return. And this is the quote from Mike Dunleavy from his exit interview, where he said, despite him not playing into playoff games, it's very reasonable and actionable for him to come back. It doesn't seem like, nowhere in this quote does he say, we want him back. He is definitely a part of our future plans here. It's reasonable and actionable, which means it can happen, but it's probably not going to happen. And more evidence suggesting that is Jonathan Kuminga going full ghost on his Instagram right here, blackening out his profile picture. It seems like this marriage is coming to a close, and it didn't work out. And I wish the best for Kuminga elsewhere. It doesn't seem all that likely that he's going to play another game as a member of the Golden State Warriors. So some sign and trade options. Let's start with this one. Coby White of the Chicago Bulls. Somebody who I don't think is going to be in the long-term plans over there in Chicago. Somebody who makes $12.9 million and is an easier guy to go out there and acquire per the restrictions that exist per Jonathan Kuminga's sign and trade and him being a restricted free agent and all that stuff. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But Coby White is a player who Golden State could target here as a guy who could another ball handler, another volume scorer, somebody who defenses will go out there and have to guard on a nightly basis. Golden State did not have enough guys in that department this season. So Coby White is definitely a name that I'm looking out there for. Just 25 years old as well. You could take him into the future. But my guy that I have been beating the drum of all season long, Cam Johnson, go and get him. And this would be a much more difficult name. He is a higher value player than Coby White is. He makes more money than Coby White does. And the Nets have money. They can go out there and just sign Kuminga and not have to give up anything. But if Joe Lacob goes out there and threatens to match the offer sheet, then maybe they could be in the business of giving up Cam Johnson. And maybe Cam Johnson himself is in the business of leaving the Brooklyn Nets. At 29 years old, is he going to stick around here for another 5 years of a rebuild? This guy's tasted the NBA Finals already. I would be very keen on bringing him to Golden State because I think he's going to be looking to go out there and win a championship. This will likely have to involve 3 teams, though, with the way that Kuminga's sign and trade rules are structured. His max salary is nearly $40 million, but in a trade, his new salary would count as 50% of what Golden State is sending out, but 100% of what, 100% of what the other team is taking in. So he's probably going to have to involve a third team of sorts, and the financials are going to have to work out in certain different ways. Maybe you have to offload a Buddy Hield contract as well if Cam Johnson's the guy that you're trying to bring in. But bring me Cam Johnson, man. This is a 40% three-point shooter, 6'8", long wingspan, can finish at the rim. He can defend multiple positions, and a very underrated defender at that. This is a big shot taker, big shot maker, man. A 20-point-per-game scorer. And a real 20-point-per-game scorer. Somebody who can go get his own jump shot. Not Jonathan Kuminga, who really just doesn't fit that well in the flow of the offense. Pound dribble, settling for mid-ranges, to contested shots at the rim. No. Cam Johnson takes good, effective, and efficient shots. And that's somebody that I want in this Golden State motion offense. I'm all in on bringing Cam Johnson to the Golden State Warriors by any means possible. And I think that's with the Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade. Next move. Trade another one for Daniel Gafford. And look, this isn't going to be the easiest trade to pull off, but Golden State, they're in the market for a center per Charania. Here's what he had to say about Golden State's offseason plans. He said the Warriors will be incredibly aggressive in the marketplace to go and find help to continue to retool that big 3 of Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. I'm told their priority is finding a playmaking wing defender or center to add to this group. Playmaking wing defender. That sounds like a really, really good basketball player, and there aren't a lot of those that exist out there. But there are some reports about Daniel Gafford, and with Golden State looking to add size, which they need to go out there and do, Gafford's a guy who I'm willing to bring to Golden State to start at that center position. And per Michael Scotto, who's an NBA insider, Gafford's a trade candidate with him wanting to make a little bit more money from the Dallas Mavericks. They might not have that in their plans or on their books, so maybe he could be a Golden State candidate. And Tim McMahon, who's really, really tapped in with the Dallas Mavericks, says Gafford wants starting center money. Well, right now, we're just focused on trading for him. We'll worry about that more down the line. Daniel Gafford is a walking 15-10. And I honestly, he didn't have the best season in 2024, 2025. But I think this is a guy who could get an expanded role in Golden State. He has Derek Lively breathing down his shoulder down there in Dallas. And his minutes have been compromised as a result. I think he can really go out there and take the next step in his career. Just 26 years old, Gafford is. And, if you get a guy who's putting up good rim protection, good rebounding, both on the offensive and defensive glass, and double-digit points as a lob threat for Steph, I'm in every single time. And look, this trade idea that I'm throwing out there, Jeffrey Cooperstein, longtime Mavericks fan, is in the producer's seat right now, and he says it's a terrible offer. But what I will say is it's an unprotected first, and the Mavs, they're going to be in the Cooper flag market very, very soon here. And with their aging veterans, might as well recoup more draft assets. Maybe Dallas can get Mike Dunleavy to negotiate something after the Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond contracts are up. And Dallas could be looking at a very, very valuable first-round pick down the line. And then you give Moses Moody away to match the salaries. I don't know. It could be the move. Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the mid-level exception is my next move for the Warriors this offseason, because this is the playmaking wing defender that you got to go out there and get if you're Mike Dunleavy. This is a guy who has played multiple long playoff runs in a row. I think somebody who's going to contribute to winning on both ends of the floor. A 10-point per game scorer, so just you're looking at a top-tier role player here. 40% three-point shooter. Yeah, 38%. I rounded up. Who cares? But somebody who could also handle the rock as well and has really good measurables, who can defend, ones, twos, and threes. 6'5", 205, and has that 6'9" wingspan to be able to jump passing lanes and get your hand in there to create deflections and all that good stuff. Like, he's a very, very underrated defender, and he is a good shooter. Not going to blow you away offensively, but a guy who can create defense for offense and then hit that catch and shoot three, which we all love so much in Golden State. 42.5% on that catch and shoot on 3.5 attempts this season as well. So I'm incredibly bullish on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's two-way ability and ball handling ability for Golden State. Somebody who I think is just a plug-and-play guy in Golden State's system. This is your playmaking wing defender that Shams Charania is going out there and addressing. As far as what Golden State is making a priority this offseason, players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But some other guys who I've thrown out there, Karis LeVert is another name who could be on the mid-level line as well. So, somebody who can kind of go get theirs, scoring the basketball a little bit more than NAW can. But I like Alexander-Walker for that two-way ability and the ball handling as well. Next, for the third trade of the Warriors offseason here, because I think that a lot of NBA teams with this new CBA and not a lot of financial flexibility go out there and outright sign guys. A lot of trades are going to come this offseason. So, Goga Bitadze is my next name for Golden State, the rim-protecting, underrated playmaking center in Orlando. And this is where Golden State would use the $8.8 million trade exception that they do have. And Bitadze currently makes $8.3 million. That would slide right in. You attach a pick, and boom, bada bing, bada boom, Bitadze is in the Bay Area. This is a player who can come off the bench for you and play 20 minutes a night if you're Golden State. Like, not somebody who's going to overly threaten Daniel Gafford's starting spot, something that he's very keen on. So you bring in Bitadze to be that backup big, and somebody who gives Draymond Green the ability to have a lot of restability and not play a lot of minutes at that center spot where he played a ton this season. Bitadze is a very smart player, somebody who's gotten better every single season, who just got a multi-year contract from the Orlando Magic, and he's put up good numbers and good production on both ends. I think this is a home run signing if you can make it happen with Orlando for this trade exception. And it kills two birds with one stone. Gives you more depth at that spot and doesn't have Draymond Green running a ton of minutes at that center spot. And Golden State can go to that if they want to. If they want to run small, if there's a good matchup available, they have the ability to do it. But I want two solid rotation centers and guys who I could be confident in starting any single night. Bitadze and obviously Gafford at that starting center spot are two guys I'm huge on this offseason. Those are the moves, though. The rest is rest for Curry, Butler, and Draymond Green. They played a long season. They played a huge sprint. Once that Jimmy trade went down, they were sprinting to the playoffs. Like balls to the walls. Every game was acting like their season was on the line, playing the highest level, highest effort basketball of the year. And Steph, he played in the Olympics last summer. He didn't even have an offseason in 2024. Now he gets a full offseason to hopefully rehab that hamstring. Hopefully we get no more hiccups like that next season. He's going to be entering his age 38 year. Jimmy's 36. Draymond 35. It's the end of the line for these guys. Hopefully they can play less minutes next season and less games overall to preserve their bodies for a postseason run. Jimmy, especially, he's going to need time to recover. He just underwent that pelvis injury in the Rockets series. There's no way that he was playing at 100% during the series against Minnesota. He came in ill to Game 4. Jimmy needs a ton of time to recover in this scenario, and Draymond does as well. He needs a ton of time to mentally recover from what he was doing in this postseason. Go find some place to meditate or something. Go on an ayahuasca retreat. Get yourself at peace so you're not getting stacking up technicals and flagrants late in the postseason and threatening yourself to be suspended. Like, get these guys some rest, and hopefully they can play less minutes than they did in 24-25. Here's your potential lineup for Golden State now with all the moves that I made. This team looks pretty damn good. I cannot lie to you. You got Steph, who is going to kind of run a quasi-shooting guard spot for this lineup, where you have Jimmy, where you have Draymond kind of initiating the offense and running that point guard position. Obviously, you can bounce back and forth between Steph having that responsibility as well. Cam Johnson is your wing scorer. He can be in the corner. He can come off pin downs. He's a perfect guy to be running around the perimeter along with Steph in this Golden State offense. Good screen setter, big body as well. And, even a better screen setter in the middle with Daniel Gafford, ever to round out the starting lineup. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Quentin Post, and Guy Santos coming off the bench. This team is exponentially better than last year. Suddenly, you're a big team now. There's legit size to this roster, legit length and defensive versatility to this team. I love everything about it, and you know what? You can hate on me in the comments if these are some whack names, if you think this is going to work financially. I know it's going to be close, and guess what? If it's close, these NBA teams can figure it out. Now you can afford to rest your veterans some nights. You have Cam Johnson, who can go off for 25, 30 any single night. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who can handle a lot of ball handling duties off the bench. Podziemski started a bunch of games this year. He can play big minutes as well. I think this puts Golden State in a position to get a middle-of-the-pack playoff seed, avoid the play-in, and then go make a run for another title for Steph and Draymond. Grade my perfect Warriors offseason. Let me know what you guys thought about the moves I made for the Dubs. A, B, C, D, or F. I want to hear from you guys. Did I do good? Did I do bad? If there's another name or somebody you want to swap out for one of the moves that I made, let me know that as well down in the comments section. And make sure you are subscribed as well. We're going to be covering your Golden State Warriors like nobody else on YouTube this offseason. Daily content. All the rumors will be covered. So hit that sub button to never miss a thing. And as always, let's go Dubs.